chief lieutenants in there. Since they were best friends, Holder, one of his few instances of having some ethics, had to recuse himself from that. These guys knew each other from way back. It was Larry Potts that ended up calling the shots, according to Terry Nichols, for Tim McVeigh. And McVeigh was upset because Potts took him off script. He changed the plans completely within a few hours before the bombing happened.
Exactly. I've forgotten more about this than most people will ever learn, but I've seen the copies of the hotel receipts. The government's had to admit that that was the case. So it was Coulson who we have the receipts from that, Marriott, and then it's Larry Potts and the affidavits and the other witnesses who's there running the operation.
Correct.
These people, man, blowing up daycare centers. I mean, they're just absolute demons. What is it like for you, Hoppy, just continuing to know this and watching these people walking around?
Well, it's been so long and I'm getting so old that there's not much shock value anymore. I understand everything that I need to understand. I know who's who and who does what for whom. Therefore, there's not much new under the sun that I could learn that would worry me. Of course, anybody would be worried about what's going on, but I know exactly what's going on in the world today and who's in charge of trying to get it to happen. But because I'm a Christian, I know that they're going to have a problem. They can't get everything done they want done unless God lets them. And I'm not sure he's going to allow all the bad things they've got planned to happen. So, excuse me, that's really that's kind of where I'm backed up to the wall, and I'm done about all I can do, and I've got to leave it up to these younger men and just leave it up to God to take care of it, and I'm just kind of retiring.
Well, that's what I've heard. I heard a lot of people that are in A Noble Lie that this is time to ride off into the sunset.
Well, it's my time. I've just been diagnosed with something nobody wants to have, and I plan to beat it. But nevertheless, I will be occupied with that for the next few months, and won't have any time to. I'm glad we're getting this done because I don't know how many more opportunities we might have.
Well, it'll be commercial-free tonight on the news, and Aaron Dykes is doing it, so you'll have the complete floor for 30 minutes an hour as long as you guys want. I don't want to exhaust you. I didn't know this, Hoppy, that you have something that nobody wants to get, but we'll all certainly pray for you. What, have you been diagnosed with cancer?
I believe that words are very powerful, and therefore I hesitate to put certain things in words.
No, I hear you. I hear you. Well, we'll all pray for you, my friend. Now, you wanted to get into the bombs itself, which is really at the heart of the issue. And General Parton, who came immediately when he saw it on the news, columns at the back blown out with blast points, the columns right up by the truck not damaged. I mean, and then the newscast saying bombs are being removed. Wow. So break that down.
Well, this is the one thing that I needed to blow this thing wide open. If I could have gotten General Parton, I knew I wanted structural engineers. I wanted to know how strong these columns were designed. How much pounds per square inch of pressure could they survive? I didn't know that. I couldn't know that without calling the engineers and the builders and everything of the building itself. I learned later that the columns were designed to withstand 3,500 pounds per square inch of pressure. I learned later from General Parton that you can calculate how fast blast pressure decreases by dividing it by the distance cubed. So it's real short. Let's say, for argument's sake, that the closest column to the truck was 10 feet away. Now, it's easy to say, and the government said that the ammonium nitrate bomb that was set off, which we don't necessarily believe, but anyway, they claim it generated 500,000 pounds per square inch of pressure. Well, 500,000 pounds is certainly enough to blow away a 3,500-pound design column. The problem is the distance. When you cube the distance and divide that into the pounds per square inch, here's what we get. We got 500,000 over the distance 10 feet cubed. 10 times 10 times 10. 10 times 10 is 100. 10 times 100 is 1,000. You got 500,000 over 1,000. You divide 1,000 into 500,000. You got 500. Now we got a whole different ball game. Now we got a 3,500 pound column, and we only got 500 pounds of pressure. So that proves beyond the shadow of a doubt that it was physically impossible for any truck bomb, assuming it had ammonium nitrate in it, any bomb that the government said it was impossible for it to blow down even one column, much less go all the way east down the front of the building and then turn and go into the building and take out all those columns down on the east end. So what happened was physically impossible. What McVeigh was convicted of is physically impossible. All of that I could have proven if I had had the right witnesses.
As a grand juror, and expanding on that, I'm going from memory on this because I don't go off notes, I go off memory, and I didn't want to used to be, but wasn't it Controlled Demolition Incorporated that blew up the majority of the building that was left? They wouldn't let anybody get in and look at it. And then on top of that, they then buried it at a Wackenhut landfill and poured concrete in with the chunks. And then, of course, it was Controlled Demolition Incorporated that helped do the work at the 9/11 site. Is that correct from my memory, Hoppy?
You may.
We have
Chris may know that. I don't know.
Yeah,
we have photos of CDI employees with their T-shirts at the bomb site within about 3 days before it was demolished. Oddly enough, it was the same day that James Nichols was released from federal custody in Detroit, and he was held up there on purpose for 30 days, so he wouldn't get out and support efforts such as Hoppy. And the day in fact, he called me before Terry's state trial and said, the morning I got out of federal custody in downtown Detroit at the federal courthouse was the morning that they blew up the Murrah building. And he was really upset because he wanted to be down here to find out the truth.
When you give in to tyrants, when you buy into their propaganda, when you ignore your lion eyes and your gut, you manifest tyranny. You allow the worst in society to take over. And it was Oklahoma City that finally got me to go down and start my local access TV show that led to a local radio show and then a syndicated radio show and filmmaking. And I have reached hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of people, conservatively. And I'm just an average person who has a conscience and knows that really wicked murderers and criminals have to be exposed. A lot of people think you can just choose to say, oh, that's not true, and then that gives your conscience rest. And some people don't even have a conscience nowadays. And you notice society is degenerating. You know, I have a wife, I have 3 children, and I know full well the globalists are capable of anything. People ask me, then why do you do what you do? Because there's no future if we don't stand up to these people. And I'm not worried about my future or even my wife or my children's future as much as I'm worried about humanity. And it's not because, oh, I'm some great, perfect, moral person. It's because I understand these basic truths. When you get a government that starts setting off Reichstag fires, false flags, you're in trouble. And now we're a nation that pushes torture, secret arrest, preemptive war. Federal goons grope our children, stick their hands down babies' diapers, strip naked old ladies, and they tell us that's okay. I played clips on the news last night of 4 senators going, we want to scare people. We want U.S. citizens to be scared when we're going to torture them. And we want them, I mean, I didn't even know this was in the debate on the NDAA until a caller called. We played it last night. And you're a citizen and you ask for a lawyer? Lindsey Graham says, oh, no lawyer for you. And when you realize that the federal government at that level, these guys are on the national security, panels and things, they all know about 9/11. They all know about Oklahoma City. I mean, they're up there. They hate America. They hate freedom. These people are Mao Zedong's, Hitler's. They just are a bunch of old, wicked men. And they think it's real funny to go out and blow up a building. In fact, we're going to show this now on the Nightly News. I've shown it before. Even Glenn Beck earlier this year said, the government's getting ready for a new Oklahoma City to blame it on domestic groups. Because they put out all these memos at the White House and top advisors saying, man, it sure helped us. A new one would sure be great, Mr. President. I mean, there's not 1 millimeter of paper-thin, veiled statement there. That's how dumb they think we are. That's how controlled the FBI and CIA and NSA and police are. I've cornered the police chief here in Austin and others, and I've said, you know about this stuff, and they just go, I just can't believe it, and they have fear in their eyes. I talked to the Travis County SWAT team years ago, and I said, you know this stuff's going on. They're like, yeah, we do. And then, of course, they must have been under surveillance because they, you know, set them up and fired the leadership. But you know what? Again, at a certain point, you've got to say no to this evil. You've got to say no to it. And you've got to get past your fear and own it and say, I've made my decision. That's the end of it. You do what you're going to do. I leave it to God. Exactly what Hoppy said. It doesn't mean you don't do anything anymore. It means you say, I'm giving it to God, and God, you tell me what to do and take action on this. And I don't want to start preaching. I'm going to keep him right to the end of the show. Give him a 30-minute break, and we're going to tape a long interview and you know, recap everything tonight on the Nightly News and get to some of those clips and documents. But this is a decision you've got to make. And if you think this is all there is in the world and it's all about TV dinners and beer and football games, and you know what? So what about those kids getting blown up? And forget what the witnesses inside said and the survivors. You want to just own the lie, take the great delusion and say, oh, we're a bunch of kooks? You make your decision then. You make your decision. You be with the timid cowards and the people that go along with it. I mean, I understand the military mind that did this. It's a gambit. That's a 3,000-year-old chess move from Eastern, what is Persia today. You sacrifice a pawn in an early move to manipulate your enemy into a larger stratagem to where you can defeat them. And it's the old thing of send in 100 cavalry to draw out the larger army. They'll all be killed, but you're gonna save 10,000 of your troops in that move by killing 100. But those are men that signed up to go and die. And it still really should not be part of the laws of war. Because once you do that, well, it's collateral damage. Yeah, we'll kill 1 million Iraqis for their oil. Why not kill the little children in that daycare center and make sure that bomb was parked right there and have their camera people ready to get those shots when the heroes go in to save the kids and the murderers sit outside and even set up their own federal Patsy McVeigh. Gentlemen, I'm going to shut up. I want to get into McVeigh, how this ran, the affidavits by Nichols, what we know, the individuals orchestrating this, who they plan to blame it on, and of course, thank God some of the bombs didn't go off because then their plan didn't go according to the best laid plans of mice and men often go astray. But I mean, other points you want to make, or speaking to why you've gone public, Chris Emery. I mean, you learned about Oklahoma City and have fought it and risked your life. Hoppy was in the middle of it and ran smack dab into the New World Order. But I think that's a good place here. Hoppy, why have you done what you've done versus other people? You know, we would call you exceptional. I know you would just say you're a decent person who does